YouTube friends, what's going on? David Lee back with a brand new video. Today we're talking about one of my favorite pieces of gear that is essential for commercials, filmmaking, indie films, docs, YouTube, is the Aputure 120D. The reason why I bought the 120D over a year ago was because I needed a good source of light, a good quality light, something powerful enough that would give me the opportunity to light one or two people or more for different things, whether that be an online show, whether that be a short film, being able to support others with feature films. I needed a light that could do all those things combined, not be too bulky, not be too heavy, and also have something that is reliable. Because at the end of the day, the worst thing you want is to have a good quality piece of equipment as far as like operational wise goes, but reliability wise isn't that great. Now its big brother, the 300D, offers more power output. So if you're trying to light an entire set, or maybe even like a small sound stage, the 120D, you would have to do like other things, bounce cards and reflectors, and do a little bit of like engineering here and there to make it work. And for me, since I do a lot of smaller budget commercial work, it's imperative that I have a light that I can bring by myself, operate by myself, set up by myself, and know that if I'm using either a V-mount battery or if I have it plugged straight into the wall, that's gonna work for the entire shoot. So with all that being said, let's go into the reasons why I've continued to use the 120D over these past few months. FYI, this review video will be in depth. It'll be pretty lengthy. So you may be asking yourself, why in the world is this video like 10 plus minutes? Is because much like my Zhiyun Crane dual handle review, which is like 16 minutes or something, I wanted to give you, the viewer, the customer, the buyer, enough information to use before you purchase this piece of equipment that you're going to use, whether that's for YouTube or for your professional work. And the 120D is not it's not a cheap light, but it's not an expensive light. I know for some people, maybe your budget is only $100, like realistically, you're just starting off, you need a light, something that you can use to bring on set, and $100 is all you have in this moment. So the 120D, sits between $500 and $600 roughly, but for best bang for your buck and not having to go like the 300D route, or something even more expensive like a Westcott light, the 120D honestly fits multiple categories. And in this review video, I hope to show you guys exactly why the 120D is that great for the price and what you get. When you're looking for a light to purchase for your work, whether that be YouTube or anything else, you have to know exactly what kind of light, the quality of the light that you're getting. So the 120D being a daylight light, it sits around 6,000 Kelvin, or I think technically it is 6,000 Kelvin, which is great if you're doing a lot of interview lighting, if you're doing a lot of on talent lighting. So you have an actor or two actors and you're looking for a soft source of light that's going to be more flattering for their skin. The daylight temperature tends to add a bit more of a more flattering, more pleasing look. Now, obviously, if you're going for a completely different look using say like tungsten lighting, then that's different. But in general, if you're not going for a lot of stylistic lighting with no gels or without practicals, you just need a good quality, consistent source of light, then the 120D checkmarks that box easily. Now the light itself is actually not that big. I can bring this in a little bit and still have my audio good. Yeah, the light itself is actually not that big at all. Even the 300D isn't too huge, but the one thing I like about this light is that it comes in a very comfortable and a very secure like carrying case. It is big though. The case itself is very big. But I find that I pretty much put it in the OEM case. It has various pouches that you can put the actual light, the remote control, the different connecting cables, the V-mount control unit, all those things. But the actual light itself is pretty much, right here. And one thing with lights too is that they do tend to rise in temperature. So being able to have a light that can automatically control its temperature that saves your sound guys so much hassle, and it saves time on set. But you have the like the heat sink, the passive heat sink right through this fan grill here, and the actual fan is on the bottom of the unit. So it has some sort of like built-in programming where it knows when it hits a certain temperature to kick the fan on a little bit louder. but in all honesty, you know, like your light isn't going to be like right here next to you. So even when it does kick in, it's not even that loud. But in the event that you feel the 120D is getting too hot, you can actually set the fan control to be like a auto on or like an auto force option so that the fan stays at a certain RPM. And the other awesome thing I love about the 120D is the control unit. From here, you can control everything from powering on the unit, both physically or also remotely. You can increase the intensity or lower the intensity. And thankfully there is a little LCD screen here that shows you what percentage intensity you're at. Now the unit itself basically gives you two ways to power the camera. One can be through a V-mount battery, which basically just snaps on like that. The other option is you can just hardwire it into a outlet or a surge protector, you know, whatever you have. In the event that you need to bring the light, say like inside of a closet or inside of a car, a truck, something where you need light in, it is small enough to get the light with a control unit and a V-mount battery in. The only thing you need to worry about is how you're going to shape the light. As pretty much like this is the bulb end itself, so whatever light's coming out is just going to be, you know, blasting straight out. So how do you shape light with the 120D? There's different ways. The two things that I have purchased that help me out on set are these two things. The first one is their light dome, which I'll put a picture here. It'll be easier. That way you can see what it looks like when it's unfolded and mounted. That one allows you to spread the light a little bit more evenly. Otherwise, the light is just blasting straight out, and that's not what you want. Or it could be. Now, how to diffuse the light? It comes with two layers of diffusion. The first one is this, you know, very small circular one, which fits directly in front of the light. And then the second layer of diffusion, it matches the surface area or the circumference of the actual light dome itself, and that adds your main layer of diffusion. The light dome kit itself is sold separately, but honestly, it gives you everything that you need, and it's something that I pretty much use all the time. The 120D's intensity for 100%, you can light up like a small room, honestly, with it. It's just so bright. There's so much intensity behind it, which is great. The only caveat I find with that is, like any light, in order to shape light, sometimes the best thing is to not use all the kind of like OEM kit stuff out of the box. You may be in a situation where you'll need to set up the light further away and then diffuse it with a larger sheet, like a 12x frame or butterfly frame, or if you don't have them, even something like a $9 diffusion sheet you can get off of Amazon. Place it onto some C-stands or light stands, whatever you have, and then shine the light through that. Sometimes does a better job than using the OEM setup. Cool, so I think I've covered pretty much the main reasons why I love using the 120D and also some of like the technical aspects of the 120D. What I'm gonna do right now is take you behind the scenes to a infomercial that I'm shooting for a supplement company using the 120D on set, how I shaped the 120D to like 2 actors and also 1 actor using primarily the 120D, the light dome, the diffusion, and then also set up some secondary lights as like fill lights and kick lights, things like that. So let's head on over to set. Alright, so we are on location right now. I am doing voiceover right now as there was just too much going on for me to try to commentate in the moment. But at the moment you can see that we're in broad daylight, and I actually had to take away light and bounce light back in rather than use the 120D. But I kind of just want to give you, my original plan was to use the 120D for this scene just to kind of add some more key light to our talents, but just decided not to use it because I thought it would have been too much. So now what you're seeing is our second location where we had to use the 120D. We were trying to recreate sort of like a warehouse scene for this part of the project. And you can see Luke, he's putting on the first layer of diffusion. And then we have the second layer of diffusion coming up right around here. And again, this is just enough to diffuse the light so that it's creating a soft light for our talents. We have male and female, both pretty much the same skin color. So I was exposing for about 65 to 72 IRE. So about 2 stops overexposed as I was shooting an S-Log2. In the back, there is a little bit of ambient lighting. I have a bicolor LED panel that I just switched all the way to tungsten, 3200 Kelvin, and I was aiming that up against up towards the ceiling of the garage just to kind of add in a little bit of color contrast to the scene. But as you can see, the 120D, that I believe we're at 100%. So max intensity for the 120D, but it's plenty enough to light our talent, plenty enough to add a little bit of ambient light as well too. We had the garage lights turn on as well, but for the most part, we flagged them off because I didn't want too much uplighting for my talents. Now in this shot, we were in the kitchen, and the sun was about, I would say, sort of like 75 degrees in relation to where the talent was. So we had our 120D set up on a C-stand. I think I was about like 90, somewhere between 80 and 90% intensity, but basically in the same direction that the sun was in. No fill lights, no bounce lights, no negative fill, pretty much just the 120D. As it worked out pretty good. I figured that all I really needed was the 120D, and thankfully I was correct. So what I'll do right now is we'll go back and I'll show you just a few seconds of each of the clips where I used the 120D before, just ungraded raw from the camera, and then a quick little color grade to see what you can get from the 120D. Again, color grading is very subjective, but I was trying to keep this as neutral as possible. Since this was going for a client Facebook ad, I didn't want it to be as stylistic as I normally do, like my docs or my YouTube channel. So, something pretty just natural. So again, just a couple seconds each one so you guys can see what you can do with the 120D. Actually, maybe it makes more sense to put this guy over here. I hope you guys found something useful with that BTS scene of me on a commercial set, using the 120D in different environments, exterior, interior, in a basement garage. So the 120D is a very versatile kit. Now, the only issue that I have seen or experienced with the 120D is there was one time where I was helping a few friends with one of their films, and I let them borrow the 120D to use as a key light for a scene, and the light shut off after about maybe 2.5 hours of use. Luckily it wasn't during mid-take, which is good, but we noticed that the control unit was extremely hot to the touch, and I think it probably just overheated, so I shut down to prevent any kind of failure to the device. Now, once we plug the 120D into the wall, no issues for another 5-6 hours. Everything was perfectly fine. Yet I have used this light many times with V-mount batteries. I'm guessing it was just that one particular V-mount battery that we used. Maybe there was an issue with it that caused the unit to overheat. Other than that, this light has never failed to turn on, to turn off. I've never had any issues with the remote control unit connecting to the 120D. So the big question, is this 120D worth it for you and for your use? Well, I think you have to take into consideration what you're getting for the price. There aren't a lot of lights available on the market in that $600 range that can do what the 120D does. The main reason why I bought the 120D was because of the actual quality that the light gives when it emits out from the unit. It's perfect. Honestly, if you're doing any type of on-talent lighting for interviews, documentaries, narrative scenes, anything, the 120D offers this very, very soft, very organic feel when the light hits skin tones. And it's definitely safe to say if you can save up a few $100s, get the 120D. Do you need the 300D? I think it depends. You know, with the 300D, you are spending about $400 to $500 more than the 120D. It offers much more powerful output than the 120. It's not too much bigger. However, you know, that extra $400 you can spend on getting the light dome. You can get on getting the space dome. You can get maybe 1 or 2 more V-mount batteries. So you have options there. There's never been a situation where I thought to myself, dang, I wish I had the 300D. Nope, not ever. The 120D does everything that I need and will need for a long, long time. If you liked the video, please like the video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel just so you're notified of new content coming out in the future. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if there was any questions you still have before you're purchasing the 120D. Hopefully I can answer them for you guys. And remember that every day you have an opportunity to create your experience and to write and tell your own story. My name is David Lee, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.